Alright, y'all, so today wanted to do a very quick David case update. We have another big update I wanted to give you my thoughts on lately. These updates just keep coming, man. Obviously, today at the time I'm making this video, Monday, 4/20, David got charged with 3 counts, one for murder, one for sex crimes, and one for mutilation of a corpse. Really insane and really deep charges. And basically just hours after the DA presented those charges against David, David and his lawyers and stuff appeared before a judge, and basically the judge asked him what he wanted to plea in this case. He obviously pleaded not guilty. Obviously, this is probably not a surprise to anyone. I mean, he probably thinks that, he can get away with this, or I don't know, maybe he could just sort of, weasel his way out of this. I'm not exactly sure. But that being said, he pleaded not guilty to it. Not only that, but the lawyers and his team basically asked the judge that within the next 10 days, they want a preliminary hearing for the case. Now, what does that exactly mean? It's basically kind of a testing ground for the case as a whole or the trial. Basically, a judge has to decide. The prosecution's going to come, the defense is going to come. The prosecution has to present all their evidence, all their witnesses, all of their, really just their stuff, to basically see if there is enough for a court date and a court trial, and just enough to actually, do this legally. And a judge has, like I said before, has to decide if this is enough to either go ahead with the trial, go ahead with the case, or, send this back, and also the real possibility that the case could get dismissed outright. Now, why would David's team want so quickly to have a preliminary hearing? Well, it's real, like I said, it's very well possible that he would want to just rush the prosecution, maybe just to caught him off guard. Basically, within the next 10 days, they want to catch him unprepared. They come to the judge, and let's just say hypothetically, they're just not prepared. They don't got their evidence or their witnesses in order, and the judge doesn't like it and decides to dismiss the case. So like I said, it's kind of a tactic. It's kind of a strategic tactic by the defense team that David has. All really interesting stuff nonetheless. TMZ kind of released some images of David in court, and like I said, the image I'm showing for this video is kind of one of those images. Man, he's looking rough. He's looking rough. He's wearing like a black hoodie that I think was the one that he was caught in when he got arrested. And I mean, like his mugshot showed, he looked tired. He looked stressed. I mean, honestly, this man looks like I said before, completely different than he did a year ago. It is crazy. But yeah, he didn't say any comments. His lawyers obviously spoke for him. But, I mean, look at the smug on his face for the image I'm putting on this video. Crazy, crazy stuff. I find this really fascinating. He's kind of trying to rush the prosecution. I mean, maybe he feels like he has nothing to hide. Maybe he feels like he can get away with it. Or, I don't know, like I said, I'm not trying to prove his innocence or anything. But maybe there is some scenario that David is just kind of found innocent of murdering Celeste. Which, like I said before, I'm not trying to defend. I do think, personally, he did kill her just because all the evidence is pointing to the fact that he did it. And, especially the sex crimes. I definitely think he committed those sex crimes. And, it's just kind of really strange. But yeah, just like I said before, it's really fascinating that he's using this tactic. Like I said, the same day that the charges were announced. I mean, he's moving full forward in his defense, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how all this plays out. They also kind of, TMZ released a video of David in court with his lawyers speaking to the judge, basically also with the prosecution there. And the defense was also saying something along the lines of, oh, these secret grand jury proceedings, which I'm going to be honest, were not secret. Everybody knew that there was a grand jury for this case. I mean, TMZ have been reporting on it for months. But oh well, they said, oh, these secret grand juries, we would like to have the material released to the public. And the prosecution basically said something along the lines of, oh yeah, that's completely fine. We're completely open. Just file a motion for that. Like I said, I like how the prosecution responded to that question. It just seems like they're confident in this case. And I mean, I would imagine 7 months in, and like I said, there's been silence, there's been no movement on it, and then out of nowhere, they arrest David, they charge him with all this stuff, they've said they have all this evidence on him. I just don't think that, like I said before, my personal opinion, the defense's tactic of rushing into a preliminary hearing, I don't think it's going to work too well for him. It sounds like the DA and the LAPD came prepared. I mean, like I said before, it's been 7 months in, and they could have chosen at any time, but they felt like they were prepared to do this arrest. I mean, this was something of their decision, right? They chose to do this whole situation, right? They chose to make the arrest with David. So I don't know. I think that they are confident and they sound confident. I think they're ready to do this. So the court battle really is going to begin. I think that there's another hearing. I think that might be the preliminary hearing that I've been hearing about. But there is another hearing for this case on April 23rd, which is honestly only 3 days away. Very quick movement on this case. We'll see what happens after that. But yeah, man, it is really, really crazy stuff that's happening. Also, actually, during this hearing with the judge, Celeste family was actually there. There's been some videos and photos that TMZ posted of her family at court. We did hear, according to TMZ, that they were going to make a statement, but it sounds like they never made one. I think they said that their lawyer was going to make a statement. Not exactly sure, but it is crazy. Her family was there at that first hearing. And I mean, just can you imagine David just sitting there with his black hoodie and just, like I said before, maybe he took a glimpse at the family. Who knows? I mean, I can't even imagine what he was thinking, but like I said before, insanity. But yeah, justice, I think, is coming for Celeste. I think the situation is absolutely getting more insane. It's cooking. And honestly, I think that personally speaking, even though I can't predict how this case is going to go in this trial, I personally think they got this in the bag. I think the prosecution waited for the time to get all their ducks in order. I think they have all their ducks in order, and I think they're ready to begin this whole case. I think they sound confident and ready. So like I said before, I'm going to keep making updates about the David case. But yeah, this is all insane stuff. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Steve Fisher. This has been the private investigator who's been, I've probably mentioned his names every time I've made one of these David case updates. He's been, like I said before, one of the big things with this case and keeping it alive. He obviously reported the news. He was also going to say that he was going to share some of the court documents that basically happened today with the charges, which is really cool, and kind of reiterated some of the information I'd already talked about in my previous video. But yeah, it's kind of cool that he's also reporting on it. Also, a lot of news stations are talking about it. This is getting big traction. And honestly, like I said before, I mean, this is only really the beginning. We'll see how the rest of these hearings go. But yeah, it's crazy. David pleaded not guilty, and really know that, like I said before, most likely we're going to have a lengthy trial for this case. But yeah, I'll try to keep y'all updated. This is my thoughts on the latest updates for the David case. Hopefully y'all have a good day, and peace, y'all.